Buenas, this is the You Live Where podcast. My name is Diego, and I've been an expat for 10 years now, and I love my life. It's been amazing. It's been the best 10 years ever. And I know that at home, my viewer, there's a lot of you out there that would like to live a similar lifestyle or try something like this. So what I'm hoping to do, I'm hoping to provide you with great content by bridging that gap between reality and dream. We're going to be having some conversations with people that are expats, that own homes overseas, or that are traveling just for a really long time. So if in the future there's any questions in particular you want me to ask my guests, let me know, put it in the comments section, give me a like and a follow, and we'll get to it. Today we're going to be talking to Justin. He is a private school teacher from California. Enjoy. What's up, Justin?
Not much. How you doing, Diego?
How you doing, brother?
We've been hanging out for a while, so it isn't like
good
we
friends.
just saw each other.
All right, man. So yeah, I guess we'll jump into it, right?
Sounds good.
All right. So first off, what made you think of getting out of America?
Well, I've done an extensive amount of traveling in Mexico, and for about 15 years, and really loved it there. Opened a business there, had a great time, spent quite a few months a year there. And then I just became a bit disenchanted with that. But I've kind of always had a travel bug since probably about 25. Kind of had a rough split with a girl, and it was like a snap decision. It was just like, I'm going to go to Mexico, and I've always kind of enjoyed traveling around the States. I rode my motorcycle halfway across the country from Kansas City to Oregon, and I've done a lot of other adventure traveling over the years, but really to start going to a foreign country hit me at about 25, 26, and I was just like, I gotta go. And it was an impulse, really. I mean, the only real way to describe it, I went to the public library, I looked at some maps in Mexico, because I didn't have a fancy phone at that point, and I was just like, I'm going here, 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 and then here, and then I'm taking a bus, and I took a bus from Portland, Oregon, to La Paz, Mexico, at the bottom of the Baja, so that was a big deal. And then after, like I said earlier, 17 years in Mexico, including a stint with a business and just a lot of working there legally and playing tons of music there, I got a bit disenchanted. The political climate in Mexico in the 2010s changed dramatically. From 2005 to 2010, obviously, everybody knows about the cartels and everything, and it just was impacting the overall vibe, and I was a little bit burnt out. So, but then same kind of situation. I was sitting out one night watching a band play, and I was feeling rather down, and like a bolt of lightning, it just kind of hit me, and I was just like, Nicaragua, that's where I'm going next. And I was already pretty good at speaking Spanish, so the next year I came to Nicaragua blind, got off the bus with a backpack, and started working my way to the bus station, rode the chicken bus to San Juan del Sur. It was insane. Had a very ample, sweaty woman's rear end in my face for a good hour.
Well, that's our welcoming committee.
Yeah.
That's the welcoming committee.
And that was 2010, and it's 2024, and I've been coming back with the exception of COVID every year since, and I love it. And I don't, obviously technically live here, but my plan in the next 5 years is to move here. And when I come here, I mean, some people vacation, and I certainly do enjoy the amenities of vacation, but having a house to come to, a community, and I'm sure we'll get to some of that later, allows me to sort of feel more like I'm living than I'm vacationing. And so...
Plus, you come for clips of the year. You're here for 3 months in a clip most of the time.
Yeah, I don't mess around when it comes to my time. I'm a teacher, so the minute they graduate, pretty much within 24 hours, I'm on a plane here. And I come back and give myself 3 days to get ready for meetings and stuff. But that's how it happened. I mean, it's kind of convoluted, but that's usually how these things happen. There's a sequence of steps that result in being in one place,
All right, so it was the Wanderlust. It just got you, man, Wanderlust, and you went for it.
Yep.
Dope. And we're in Nicaragua, as you said. So, about Nicaragua, man, tell me, what's blown your mind? What's been something about this country that it stands out to you?
Well, it might be cliche, but I really mean this. First, there's a lot of things that stand out in this country. I mean, it's just the way that sort of history has it's obviously not quite like Cuba, and there's a lot of modern amenities, but there's also a ton of history here. But what really struck me the most, I'll just get right to it, is the people. Honestly, the Nicaraguan people are just some of the sweetest, nicest people I've ever met in my life. I tell people all the time that if I were stranded on the side of the road or in the middle of the dark somewhere and needed to knock on a door, I would feel 10 times more comfortable doing it here than, say, Huntington Beach or LA or something like that. So,
And just to jump off of that, the way that I explain it to a lot of people is that, let's say you were in Costa Rica and you're online waiting to purchase something at some like local store or whatever. If your your Spanish isn't on point, like the lady gets frustrated with you. Everybody in the line starts bitching. It's like a thing. Like, what the fuck, gringo,
Totally.
But here, if you step into that store and you go up to the lady and you're trying to, everybody's chill.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, all right, lady's going to help them. They start staring at the wall. Everybody gets it. Everybody's chill. It's just is what it is. It's just cool. Yeah.
Well, and coming from the States where I still live, a majority of the time, where everything is very fast paced, and if things don't move at a certain clip, people kind of lose their heads and get upset. I've adopted a lot of that just from the lifestyle. Plus, beyond just the kindness these people show, I think you have to have context. It's so poor. I thought Mexico was poor, but Nicaragua, especially where we are, there's a lot of...
We're in the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
And we're in a poor area of the second poorest country.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're in the
sticks. We're in Kentucky, basically.
Yes.
We're in the Kentucky or, Louisiana of Nicaragua, minus New Orleans. And so I think that's the thing. It's like, a lot of these people just give you the shirt off their back and they barely got a shirt. You know what I mean? But they don't think of it like that. They think that, the word service has been coming up a lot over the last few years in terms of leadership and blah, blah, blah. And I have to say, like, these people, for the most part, I mean, nothing's perfect, obviously. There's definitely confidence men out there, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, the people I've met here are just some of the most generous, kindest people. And they do it without ever an intent to get anything back. It's just part of the culture. And so that's the thing that struck me the most. But then there's the natural beauty. There's the beautiful oceans. There's the lack of crowds when you go surfing or when you just are on the beach. And it's just so much here. And the best part about it is it hasn't been completely destroyed by corporate entities that don't care about the preservation of the very things they seek to make money on. They want to suck it dry. And sorry, I'm getting a little, it's not political, but it's true. If you go to Cancun or you go to any of these other fucking places, this is the fucking way it is.
Yeah.
Look at fucking Puerto Escondido as a perfect example. 15 years ago, it was just a treasure. I mean, it was well known and it was great and it worked. And it's this beautiful wave. And now they've just built so much. They're screwing up the very thing, but no one cares because it's all about what you can get now. And so here, there's definitely more of a long play. And I really respect that about the people and the place. And, it's gorgeous and the people are terrific. So what can you say?
What would you say that your cost of living here is like compared to at home?
Well, again, context. I live in a very expensive part of California. But that being said, because my wife owns the house here, basically, in a nutshell, I pay all my bills while I'm there, and I do anything I want here, and I still save between $800 and $1,000 a month while I'm here.
Brilliant.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm still paying rent, and I'm still paying bills, but all the things that I like to do, go out, go do things with my friends, definitely some of this. And, but it's warm, sometimes hot, but still the water's great. It's not cold like it is where I live in California. I mean, just to put it in context, this beer at a bar here costs me, it's Tonya, it's delightful. This beer at a bar here costs me $1, maybe $2 if I'm at a fancy place, you know what I mean? This beer in Newport Beach, which you can only find at 2 restaurants, is $7 or $8 at either or. So, and it isn't just about that, it's about everything. It's just about the cost of quality meals. There can be expensive stuff down here, but we're talking bang for your buck. And again, and you've seen this at the GP or down at Summer House, you're sitting on the beach, looking out over a gorgeous sunset over the ocean, and you're eating garlic shrimp for $18, it's just, or $15, or you're eating mahi fillets for $12, and you just don't get that in the States because you can get it maybe for $12, you can get it cheaper, but you're not going to get that sitting on the beach in front of a beautiful pool or whatever at a gorgeous restaurant on a terrific night in a very, incredibly quaint and beautiful place. So it's just financially, there's just a no-brainer. I mean, my plan is I think that I could live I know that I could live extremely well down here for $2,500 a month. I know I could do it for a lot less, but that's kind of my target number as far as the ceiling goes. So I figure, yeah, I can, if I can make enough for that, until I die, and save that and spend just about $2,500 a month, even with the cost of living increases factored in over the years, I just don't see it
breaking that.
No, I really don't ever, even close.
All right. So real quick, and this one, I know this could be a crazy deep down the rabbit hole question, but
here we go. Shouldn't have smoked weed before.
What are some of the common misconceptions that people have of Nicaragua that you've encountered?
Well, the absolute most obvious one, and the one that is still just difficult for me to grasp. When I first started, granted it hasn't been as bad lately, but when I first started coming down here, honestly, Americans are saying, isn't there like a revolution going on down there? And we're talking about the Contra War ended in like 86 or 88, and the revolution was over in 80. It's just like, read a fucking book. Good God. And then there's the other piece where people think it's this socialist. They think it's Cuba, and it's not. There's Subway here. There's McDonald's. There's Carl's Jr. There are malls. There are movies. We went and saw Wolverine and Deadpool last week.
Amazing movie.
Loved it.
Dope movie.
Absolutely
Thumbs
great
up.
movie. Yeah, we were geeking out hard.
Hard.
And, there are arcades and bowling alleys. Most of this is centralized in Managua, which is the big city, but it's a tiny country, so nothing. And then there's just great places like Granada, San Juan del Sur. So I guess that revolution thing, that's the biggest misconception. I digress. The other misconception is that it's dangerous. And this is one of my favorite, isn't it dangerous there? And I live in the Newport Beach, Huntington Beach area, and I say, yeah, there are parts of Managua and, other towns you don't want to walk around by yourself at night, but there are parts of Huntington Beach and Newport Beach. Somebody got stabbed there a couple weeks ago, you know what I mean? And so it's relative. And where we are, again, here in the Kentucky of Nicaragua, I was born in Kentucky, so if anybody ends up watching this and gets pissed at me, fuck you. I was born there. I'm allowed to make fun of Kentucky. But yeah, I think those are two huge misconceptions. Well, the revolution thing, I think people have finally fucking figured out. But, so that misconception that it's political upheaval, that it's violent, that it's dangerous, those are the three probably biggest ones.
Okay. Can you share any standout moments or experiences that have shaped your time as an expat?
In Nicaragua?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I have a few. Once was in my first few years of going to San Juan del Sur. Speaking of dangerous areas, it wasn't really dangerous. You just had to be on your druthers. Excuse me. And I was coming out of a bar, and there was this sort of block that was a shortcut back to my hostel. But it was kind of, it was lit, but, it was notorious for prostitutes to be there. So one time, and the girls were usually there, I could evade them. The deal is they come up and they start touching you, and then they lift your wallet. Well, I never bring a wallet. I just bring a wad of cash. That's some great advice, by the way. Do not bring all your shit out when you go out to party, dumbasses, and then blame the country. Good God.
That's a good one.
This dude was like, one night this dude was like, came out, he's like, this country sucks. This chick stole my money, but I was like, dude, my wallet, my passport, everything. I'm like, what happened? He's like, well, she was a prostitute, and I'm like, okay, and then he's like, and then
well, that's just opportunistic. That's not criminal.
We got really fucked up, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, and I woke up on the beach, and I didn't have any of my shit, and I'm like, that's kind of on you, dude.
Yeah, dude, you gave her a gift, man.
So that's the thing. Don't bring your shit out if you need to go to the bank. Don't do it when you're drunk. Do it 5 hours before you get drunk. Get all the money you need, and then calculate at what point you're gonna run out of cash, and you just party close to where you're staying. So worst case scenario, you can run a line of credit, or you can go home, which you may need to do. See, that's the thing. So it's kind of like a sweet escape hatch. Anyway, I'm walking through that dark space where the prostitutes are notorious, and they just happened to, I wasn't paying attention. Usually I just run through, but I was kind of spacing out on something, probably buzzed, and they came out of the bushes, like two chicks, and they, one starts touching the other, starting doing the deal. I didn't have any money on me, but they just would not let me go, and I'm just like, no, I'm not interested. And finally, they were holding me tight, so finally I was like, I'm gay! And my mom's gay, so gay people don't fucking freak out either, right? So I'm like, I'm gay! And they're like, they let go of me, and they're like, oh, that's okay, and one of them whistles, and I swear to God, I'm assuming a transvestite or a dude dressed as a woman just literally emerges you know, out of the ether behind the bushes and waves to me. And that's when I had my moment. I just turned and I sprinted in sandals, hard as I could over cobblestone for about 3 blocks. And just wanted out of that. So that was one moment. But, you know, I mean, at the time, I wasn't even freaked out at all. I thought it was hilarious. I just wanted to get home and tell somebody about it. I went on a boat fishing that same year, I think. Met some guys from Perth. Notorious partiers, Australians from Perth. Aussies in general.
The Aussies in general, bro.
Perth, those guys
go
down
hard.
south, they are gnarly. And
If they're this far away, if they're here on this side of the world, oh yeah, they're going hard.
Got a boat with these guys in San Juan del Sur, same spot. Went down, surfed from a boat, which I'd never done, where you jump off the boat and then you paddle into the break from the back. That was super cool. And then we went and toured all these spots. We caught a Dorado. Guys made ceviche. The Nicaraguan guys on the boat had just an amazing day. Had to restock because we drank all our beer by like 2:15. So we went to this one only store along the coastline we were running. Took a giant longboard out from the boat, swam it in, waited at the store for them to open, throwing rocks into a cup. These guys were hilarious. And then we bought like a shit ton of rum and beer and cigarettes, and we had matches because nobody had a lighter. So like the one dude was like just trying to hold the matches as high as he could to keep that out of the break. And we had to push this surfboard stacked with beers and rum through like the breakwater on a longboard. There's like 4 of us managing it. Like if it goes sour, we're fucked because we got to go back and buy more shit. But those were 2 experiences early down south. I mean, things that stand out here, moving up here into this area, into the Finca del Mar, Playa San Diego area, it's been different. You know, as Diego knows, I still party. As you know, I party a lot. And I like to get into my cups and have fun. That's what I mean. I like to go out and have beers. That's part of what I love to do here. And it's just it's different. This is more like living, and this is something we were talking about beforehand. You know, a little bit like this down here. This is like really living, and I don't feel like in my current space where I've been coming for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Or 10. Yeah, about 7 or 8 years. I just it's different. You know, I mean, in a lot of weird ways, being abroad and in a place like Nicaragua, for me, helps me get closer in touch with the person I want to be, not the one I think I should be.
Dope. That was all right. I like that. Okay.
I'm not hammered yet. So
No, yeah, that was a really good
still
one.
holding on to a thread of logical.
All right. Well, if we're gonna get there, then what are some unique insights or perspectives you've gained from living in multiple countries?
Don't snap to judgment about people.
Boom.
You really don't know anybody until you know them, and that usually takes time. And
Boom.
And I think that one of my jokes about Mexico and here is before, obviously I'm different now after 25 years of doing this, or close to 30 now. I found myself completely so much more tolerant of people down here, authentically, like inside, than I am at home. At home, I will project tolerance, but I'm not always really happy about it because I feel like that's the right thing to do, is just project tolerance and be like, you're okay with this, even though this guy's acting like a complete jackwagon. But here, I don't know, it's different, I guess, and that's what I mean. I don't judge. I try really hard not to just make snap judgments about people. I mean, sure, there are some people who just roll in and your radar goes off and you're like, okay, that guy's an asshole, you know, fuck that guy. But then there are a lot of times when you get to know people and you think that at first, and then they end up becoming your really good friends. And if you had that snap judgment, you would miss out on that opportunity. So that's one of the things for sure.
So that's a good one.
And then the other thing is patience. That's hard for me.
I think that's hard for any first world living person, right? Coming from London, England, anywhere where they're in 5th gear. Right. You know what I'm saying? Life has to be now. Go hard. And what's worse is if you're not going hard or if you're not busy all the time, it's like you feel guilty about that.
Right. Like you're not dealing with
like I'm a piece of shit. I'm not. I should be being more productive. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just laying back and being in a fucking hammock or just chilling for like an hour, just staring at the sky is like not cool. So yeah,
it's like my favorite thing to do down here. You know, my one of my catchphrases from being down here is back home, I'm always busy and I'm constantly bored. Down here, I have nothing to do and I'm never bored.
Yo, that's a great one. That's another Justin for the first episode. I'm loving that.
I'm never bored. I mean, I really, even like you said, I mean, I've sat under this very rancho and just watched a couple of pigeons or doves or something make a nest over like the course of an hour and a half, just back and forth. Or I'll stare out into the yard and check out bird fights because there's all these birds that live out here, and just like see what they're up to. If an iguana cruises into the yard, I'll check him out for a while. It's
you guys
great.
get dinosaurs over here.
We do. We get big boys.
The community that we live in right now, or that Justin lives in, the owner of the place really looks after the iguanas. He cares for them, and they're just immense. They're huge, and they just troop around. They're really big. It's
they're
pretty
good eating iguanas, much to the chagrin of the community.
It's pretty impressive.
It's not very good. Don't eat them.
All right. What advice would you give to someone considering moving abroad?
Do your research. Do your research and be prepared for all of that to be wrong.
Awesome.
Seriously.
Fucking right on.
I mean, but you have to do the research. Those people who think they're clever and can just come down here and wing it. I mean, maybe if you know like fluent Spanish, if you were like from Spain or if you're from Latin America, it's a different story because the language is a completely separate piece. But beyond that, just culturally speaking, yeah, do as much research as you can. For Nicaragua specifically, I would highly recommend reading a book called Blood of Brothers, which details the entire, as you know, the history of this country from virtually its inception to the Sandinista and subsequent Contra War. These people care about their history, and I think most people in most countries do. I'm sure Americans do too. You know, I think it's just a general matter of respect. Know the history of the country. It helps you have context. Prep. Read about a lot of other people's mistakes. You know, there's a honeymoon period when you first move to places. I've seen it, observed it in others, and it's great. But that's probably the time when you need to be most critically kind of chill, like when you first get there. Yeah, go out and have beers with your friends a couple times, you know, hoot it up. But like after about a week of that, knock it off and get your act together. Just if nothing else, like not forever, but just start to like get a vision. And that's the other piece. You've got to kind of have, I think a lot of people retire to foreign countries with no objective, you know, and I'm not suggesting you have to have like a daily plan, but you have to have a list of things you want to accomplish while you're there. Why do we retire? You know, obviously it's to sit in hammocks, it's to chill out, it's to, you know, not work, but so many people flip out during retirement because they get crazy and they have nothing to do. And my argument is that before you come and make a move like that, especially to a foreign country where you can't just go bury your problems in a 7-Eleven Slurpee and a thing of Raising Cane's chicken fingers, you know, where you don't have those access to those resources, you need to have an idea. Like, hey, I want to do yoga while I'm down there. Do you have to like start doing it immediately? No, but that should be like on a list. Or I want to try to surf 4 days a week. Or I'm going to go on walks on the beach. I'm going to collect shells. I'm going to stack rocks. I'm going to do weird shit like that. You know, I'm going to stack, you know, I'm going to try to accomplish 2 or 3. I'm going to work out a little bit. I'm going to try to accomplish 2 or 3 of these things a day, you know, once I start rolling. And I think people get bummed out when they move abroad or when they retire specifically because they expect the place to constantly entertain them like it did when they vacationed there and they fell in love with it. But that's the difference between being a tourist and living there, you know?
Absolutely.
You have to create your own environment. If you wait for the country to make you happy, that's not going to happen, man. You know?
Yeah. You know, that's amazing news, not just for expats, but for retirees in general. When that time is coming up, man, have kind of
5 years, baby.
Yeah, you kind of have a fucking plan, you
Unless
know.
I win lottery. Or this takes off and somebody offers me a lucrative contract to sell Lay's potato chips. Well, let me ask you a question, man. What motivated you to do this, what you're doing right now? Like, we've known each other for several years and been good friends, and so I'm just curious what motivated you to want to start doing these interviews and talking to people about being expats, as one yourself.
That is a very layered question. I mean, the immediate answer to that was my professional career. Just looking how to let people know what I do on a wider level. Do you know what I'm saying? But I do what I do because I have my own issues with where we were living in the United States. I have issues just being there.
I know.
Yeah, there was just some things that bothered me, and I thought, you know what? At a very young age, I traveled the world. I got around very, very young. Thank God, my mom, she took me everywhere. You know, Argentina, Nicaragua, all throughout Central America. So I've always known that there's another way of life. I know that a lot of people, when you're born somewhere and that's all you know, that's all you know. You know what I'm saying? So you don't see outside of that. So when your cost of life fucking sucks, or when your medical sucks, or just all these things are compiling on top of you, a lot of people don't see the way out. And what they do is they just drown. Or they're swimming and they can't see the shore because they're swimming. Do you know what I'm saying? They don't understand there may be other things out there. So I know a lot of people that I love and care for deeply. Do you know what I mean? And if I could just let them know that it's possible, bro, you could be happy somewhere. Like, I know you could love America, and that doesn't take away from if you wanted to go move somewhere else for a better quality of life. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of people, that may be a personal question. Like, man, I don't want to be a traitor to my country. I'm a patriot. I don't want to leave, blah, blah, blah. It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It just comes a time in life where you really have to look out for yourself. You know, all of this for me was supposed to be when I was much older. This was my retirement plan. But then I just had 2013 was a crazy year professionally, personally, and I just decided to pull the trigger earlier. And shit, man, I've been here for 10 years, and that's been the best 10 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that, like anything, it's, you know, I view others, and if there's a way that I could show you, hey, man, like, there's another way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,